Okay, well, joining us right now, National Border Patrol Council Vice President Art Del Cueto. We wanted to go right at this with you. We're going to show this new footage coming in. It's a fresh angle of the Border Patrol on horseback. Again, no whipping. Photographer says he saw no whipping. This is the other photographer who took the original footage. You see the whirling of the reins. You see the migrants are panicked. A border guy grabbed a migrant by his shirt. They're running away. Is this enough for the president to say there will be consequences, they will pay?
Not only is it not enough for him to say that, I think it's very irresponsible of the president of the United States to say something in that tone and in that fashion when all he had to do was contact leadership from within the agency, and they would show him, one, how the training is done, how everything is within policy, and how nobody was harmed. This is something that the Horse Patrol is trained to do to prevent the horse from attacking anybody that's near them, standing next to them, and at the same time be able to move the horse out of the way to safely control the horse so the rider is safe and the individual that's on foot is safe. And all it would have taken was a phone call. And then you heard Kamala Harris say the same thing and attack the agents. It's infuriating, Elizabeth. It's infuriating that you have people in leadership positions that don't know how to pick up a phone and ask for a training manual so they can see what's within policy.
Should police in cities across the country who use the same deployment of horses to stop riots, to stop mobs in New York City, in other cities across the country, should they face consequences too for using the same actions?
You know, nobody was hurt. Everything that you're hearing from a lot of these individuals, they're spewing hate. They're wanting to cause this type of divide. And honestly, the statements like this, they're very irresponsible and they're very idiotic. And it's hurting a lot of people, of good, fine people. Look, we represent these individuals that are out there putting their lives on the line. And how are they supposed to get a fair investigation now when the president has already condemned them when nothing was done wrong? How do they get that now?
Yeah,
very irresponsible.
Again, we've got the news coming in. You're seeing brand new footage at a different angle of what happened with the Border Patrol on horseback. We're going to show in just a minute what the photographer of the first round of footage, he's saying this has been misconstrued. There was no whipping. We've got a Black Lives Matter protest potentially this weekend at the bridge camp. That's now been cleared out. The DHS Secretary Mayorkas, initially he said what the Border Patrol did on horseback was okay. Today he attacked his own workers, trashing them for, that's what people are saying, critics are saying, for having used horse patrols. Now, you know, Art, we've got Texas Republican Representative Tony Gonzalez. His district covers Del Rio. He had a fiery phone call with the DHS secretary saying, quote, "Stop BSing me about what's going on." Watch Representative Gonzalez here.
There is a national security event that is just brewing. I mean, you can see another 9/11 type event on the horizon with everything that the debacle in Afghanistan, coupled with a wide open border, southern border. It just creates an environment ripe for disaster for Americans. In the Big Bend sector, the sector right over, very remote part of the southern border, very few agents, very limited resources.
Team, show the new footage again. This, again, breaking news coming in, the new footage of the angle. Then we're going to show the photographer what he said about what happened. Art, so they're reassigned to desk duty. The morale is low. Agents are quitting just when we need them, when Afghanistan has collapsed into a terror state. There's al-Qaeda and ISIS in there. There's threats of terrorists crossing the border. What do you say?
How irresponsible is it for our leader of our country to make those kinds of statements, to divide even more right now when we need our nation's borders even more defended than before? I mean, I'm at a loss for words for once, because it's just ridiculous when you're seeing what's happening, when you know that everything that was done within policy, when you hear all these people attack these agents. They're out there day in, day out. As you said, we have agents that are quitting over vaccine mandates and everything else. And right now is not the time to start adding more division in this country. Right now is not the time to even attack agents, especially when they have done absolutely nothing wrong.
Okay, let's do this. Did the White House or the Homeland Security Secretary alert local border towns, neighborhoods, local hospitals, school districts, healthcare in those areas that they were going to weaken the border so badly that we have the population of Nebraska crossing? He testified on 2 successive days. He didn't have the data. Did anybody alert these border towns what was going on? Or what was about to come?
No, I can tell you the members of the National Border Council alerted the agency and said, hey, this is the problem, this is happening. They were alerted back in June 17th of this year, and they were told that they needed to have some kind of processing centers outside to make sure that they were ready for this surge that was coming. Make no mistake, everything that's been happening, it's been happening since President Biden was running for office. He invited this lawlessness. He invited it with his open border rhetoric. And now he's not only put agents' lives and careers in danger, the American public is in danger because of these false narratives and because of the rhetoric that he invited lawlessness into our country.
You know, we were looking at 30 states. 30 states have 2, let me back up. The immigration court system is swamped. 30 states, 2 territories have roughly 60 immigration courts to handle 2 million illegals coming in. 15 have just 1 court. Immigrants doing it right, waiting in line, paying their dues, they're getting crowded out the back door. The immigration courts, their case backlog quadrupled in 10 years to about 900,000 cases. And the average immigration court judge, they've got 3 times as many pending cases as the average federal district court judge. You know, Democrat Frederica Wilson even said, yes, the signal has been out there that the border is open. Quote, there are cottage industries that have grown around the border where we have smugglers passing information so people can come across illegally. So even Democrats are saying, yeah, this is what's going on too. Your word on that.
Let's remember that the many illegals that are already living in the United States waiting. This is how crazy it is. So they talk about the actual vaccine, and that's why the ports of entry are closed. The ports are the ones that allow people to enter legally, help boost our economy. Those are closed because of COVID. Yet they're allowing these hundreds of thousands of individuals and releasing them in the United States unvaccinated. They're not even asking them about any of their prior vaccines that they have. Then you add enforcing vaccines on agents, which are now causing agents to quit this agency.
You know,
that's how crazy this administration is.
Art, first the Homeland Security Secretary said this wasn't a problem what Border Patrol did. Now he's saying this is a problem he's going to investigate. He said the border was under control about a month ago. He said then privately, it's not under control. This is unsustainable. It's a crisis. Your final word on the Homeland Security Secretary.
We need to get somebody in there that actually cares about America, that cares about our nation's borders, and is willing to tell the truth. Even if the president is attacking you and giving you different rhetoric, you need to stand up and say, hey, this is actually what's going on.
Art Del Cueto, good to see you. Come back soon.